Here, Now, and Always. This is an exhibit that using Native co-curation and many consultants to give voice to the Native people of the Southwest through their words and the material culture that their communities produce, for that visitors to see and experience these vast and different and long-lived cultures in this region. So when visitors come to the exhibition, they'll come in through the emergence tunnel, which is a transitory space, so that people, as many cultures in the Southwest, and their origin stories talk about the beginnings, from another Earth and emerging onto this Earth. This bronze sculpture by Roxanne Swensel that she created at the earlier Here, Now, and Always that we wanted to keep, the Earth Mother, Clay Mother, creating her people and then telling them to go forth. And so therefore, then she's pointing towards the entrance of the exhibition. And then they come out into the Cycles Hub. And then from that Cycles Hub, it's circular, and it's kind of broken up into the different themes of cycles. They can choose a direction they want to go throughout the exhibit. So it's not just a maze, but it's basically they can choose their own path.
And why is it important that museums collaborate directly with Indigenous people, especially if they're going to share information about Indigenous communities?
The best people to interpret a culture are usually the people from that culture themselves. They know the ins and outs, they know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to discuss. In the past, that's always been an issue with museums. So many times Native people weren't comfortable in museums, or things were presented inaccurately, or kind of like in this pan-Indian voice, not recognizing the vast differences between many of the different people. Even just in our corner of the country in the Southwest, the communities can be very different. So it's important to get that voice, that community voice, so that they can present things that they want people to know and to let what they want the world to know about them.
And to go along with that, why should museums, art spaces present people as living cultures, living here now in this today's world instead of people of the past? A lot of times we see history books, museums talking about Native Americans as in the past.
It's very true. It's really important for Native people to be presented in the here and now, because often in the popular culture, Native people are seen as how they were in 1880 or so, and that's well over a century now, and what we want to present is both that past, but also the present and hopefully the future, so that people can see that Native people in this region have a very long history here, going back before any European and before people are even recording histories, and that it continues to this present day, that people are still living, working, and creating now.
There's a dance group of Zuni Oye-Maiden, so it's not just one, but we only could put one in here. There's up to 11 of them, I think, and they sing and they dance, and they're really joyful, and they've been practically around the world. They've been here at the museum a couple of times. The jewelry was consigned out to jewelers at Zuni, and there's rings, there's pins, there's bracelets, there's earrings, and Mrs. Juanita Adaki made most of the outfit and painted the pot. This was quite an event for me to put this together, because it took us about 2.5 days before we could really get her straight, and it took about 3 or 4 people, if not more, to stand her, to dress her. And I think now the people in exhibits have learned to dress a Pueblo mannequin. That we are nations, not just Pueblos or tribes, that we are nations, that we're self-governing. And then it comes up into modern times when I included Deb Haaland, and she was very gracious to donate her dress, the turquoise dress that she wore when she was sworn in to the U.S. House of Representatives as a representative from New Mexico, District 1. And then now she's Secretary of the Interior. She signifies sovereignty, not just to people of the Southwest, but to all Native people in the United States and in the hemisphere.
And as a woman, being a woman, helping curate and also just featuring Native women in this exhibit, not only in what you did here, but all throughout the exhibit. Why is that important?
I think it's important because it shows women of all the tribes and all the work that we do, and it's recognized here. So I wanted to recognize both from young people like Marla Allison, who's like to me in her 20s, and then like to Zuni Oya Maiden. And the first Zuni Oya Maiden came, and she's like a grandma or great grandma, and this lady's a grandmother, and they're teachers. To me, that's important, is because the women are the teachers in the community, most of the communities. It's up to the women to relay home, community, and support, and just keep the family going.
This one is by Lauren Aragon from Acoma Pueblo. He won a design award at the Phoenix Fashion Week a couple of years ago. And he came into the museum, and we had already thought about asking him to create a piece for us because we wanted to get more couture in the collections. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be great if he took inspiration from a piece in collections? So he went through and looked at the Acoma pieces, and he selected this jar. Okay. So he selected this jar, and this is his inspiration address from that jar. One, I wanted not to show the standard pieces that kind of sometimes people expect, those from the major artists and such too. I also wanted to acknowledge those things that like the grandmothers make at their kitchen tables as well. That the things they made for their communities, but also to sell, because they saw that as supporting their families and continuing the culture as well, and to teach their children how to do it. And my grandmother taught all of her children how to pot, both boys and girls, because she said one day you might need to make a living at this. But also at the same time, it was to continue that tradition of honoring and working with Mother Earth as well. So there's these two things that join. And so I wanted to do that, but also wanted to choose things that came from many different areas. That since I'm from a Pueblo, I just didn't want to have just only Pueblo things, but to really showcase all of the tribes, not only in New Mexico, but in the greater Southwest. And I believe we have something from almost every currently recognized 20 Pueblos, including Isleta del Sur in Texas, and also from many different communities, both Navajo and Apache, the different groups, Jicarilla, Apache, Mescalero, San Carlos, but also the Tohono O'odham and Paiute as well. And our Hopi neighbors in Arizona. So that when people come here, hopefully they'll be able to see at least something from their community or region, and that they'll also feel part of this huge experience.
We wanted visitors to leave here happy, to know that we are survivors, and that we're not downtrodden or impoverished or anything like that, but that we're happy, and that we convey not just to our own Pueblo, but to everybody in New Mexico and everybody in the world.